Someone whispered in my ear and said, OTN, a third delay has just hit Bully. The album is done for. As we all know, Ye was scheduled to come on us this Friday with his new album, Bully, and we are unfortunately back to square one with another delay, the third one. So let's talk about everything, what this means for the album and what it means for Ye and more, because for some fucking reason, seriously guys, look me in the eyes right now, I still have hope for this goddamn album. I know, I'm losing it. So let's get into this video to get you guys all of the information that you need to know, and as always, leave a like, subscribe with notifications on. It helps grow our channel and community even stronger every day. And I did mention it for a little bit longer in my last video. I promise it'll be quick this time. I am dropping these graduation bear keychains, as you can see it in my hand here and hanging on my mic. I'll also be giving away a bunch of them for free, even though they will be available for purchase. And you can enter those giveaways by following this Pocket Artist Instagram, joining my Discord, link in the description. And I'm still going to be streaming on Thursday night, talking about all new music, so I'll be giving some away then as well. Just stay connected with OTN and you can have a pretty high chance of winning one. And I've been getting a ton of support for these, and they are very limited, so make sure that you buy those fast when they drop. So thanks for listening to that, but I think it's time to talk about the elephant in the room, which is the Bully delay. And just for a recap on this delay situation, so for those who don't know, can get the full kind of scope of things, and I'll do it quick for those who do know. Original date, North's birthday, June 15th, didn't end up dropping. Ye was kind of still in Twitter full unleash mode at this point. Then it got delayed to July. Album didn't make it out, shocker, but did leak in full, still having AI on that copy, by the way. After that happened, everyone was kind of pissed because of the AI, and it got delayed again to this Friday, September 26th. And as a lot of you know, Ye has been kind of radio silent these past few weeks. Even then in July as well, pretty quiet besides the Yeezy crypto stuff. And now, present day, another delay to our new date, November 7th. So yes, it is disappointing on the surface, right? We do have to wait longer for this music and this album, but I do want to talk about why this is possibly a great move for Ye and why this could all be part of the rollout in the grand scheme of things. God, I sound like a fucking conspiracy theorist. But hey, sometimes those crazy people are right, so let's have a conversation. And my biggest focus is going to be on the obvious questions. Why did this happen? Why was the album delayed? Yada, yada, yada. And then the other question, when is this album dropping? Because I still don't know for sure if we're going to see this album on November 7th. There's a lot of things pointing that it could be released later in time. So let's start off on why, because I think that's very important, and the why obviously plays into and leads into the when. So first, I'm going to put this out there. I think we're out of the Ye era where he's just dropping completely unfinished albums and music and just trash, garbage, AI slop. I really do think we're just done with all of that. It's not crazy to say that we have seen some very rough releases lately. First being the one and only Vultures 2, and I'm still going to include that because I put that in like my realm of terrible Ye releases. But then even just the release of Donda 2, the Bully singles, and I don't want to fully count it because it was obviously a leak, but the entirety of Cuck just being kind of dookie. So from the general community, not the Ye super fans, not even just the normal fans, Ye kind of has this perception that he's washed, can't rap anymore, will not make any more good music. We've heard it all, right? And even with some of these people who love Ye that I've talked about, they are thinking these same things as well. Shit, even me, I'd be lying to you if I told you I didn't lose a bunch of hope after getting multiple Bully singles just filled with AI. The Preacher Man real vocal punch in that sounded straight booty, and I spoke about it in my last video, how the silence has honestly made me kind of forget all of this in a way, because obviously him being Ye and having made the music released, he's still the undeniable GOAT. So there's always going to be that light in my eye knowing that he still got it. So looking at all of this information right next to each other, it kind of gives us our why right in our lap. The bad perception tagged along with the silence, the movie dropping to soft launch Ye back into like mainstream society. It sounds weird to put it that way, but that's really the only way like I could get it out of my head. It all plays together on why this album was delayed, along with there just being absolutely no hype for this album. But that's something that Ye can switch around very quickly. Obviously, there's a lot of other things to take into account, like whether the album is actually done or not, but I want to place a lot of that stuff into when, which brings us into the subject of when. When is this album going to drop? So like we saw, the album is delayed to November 7th. Will Bully get delayed again? Is this the actual date? Will there be a rollout listening party? new merch drops, a ton of questions to ask. With these delays, the biggest question here, will there still be AI on this album? These are all pretty important questions that we need to ask as fans hyping up this upcoming release. So obviously it's pretty soon to say right now whether this album will actually drop on November 7th and on these later end of year dates. We're branching on a year since Bully was first announced and we got our first snippets for this project, which is just absolutely crazy to think about that we've gone through almost 3 full album rollouts. Also thinking about how my first Ye video was literal years ago. We've come a long way. But yeah, a lot can happen in a little over a month, and I think it could be possible for this album to drop on November 7th. And in reality, if we had like a hype meter, right, I'd say this shit is at like a 5 out of 100, not out of 10. But yeah, it's really only people who are super tapped into Ye hyped for this, like I said before. But I still don't think it would take a very long time to get everyone who's not paying attention to everything excited. We really just need snippets, concerts, which can be very easily done in a month. Now, the only issue with this is we have concerts scheduled, but not until after November 7th. And that's not saying that Ye couldn't plan a concert in less than a month, but he's been doing stadiums overseas. Why would he come back and do arenas in the US? It really just makes no sense. And Ye's been on like an unofficial world tour, and his upcoming stops are Sao Paulo, Brazil on November 29th and South Africa on December 13th. And these are not designated listening parties, but from his past tour stops with the same flyer, this is more than likely just like his other shows that he's had over the past year, where it's a lot more focused on his older music compared to his Vultures listening parties, where it was kind of just all new music and nothing else, even with some Bully thrown in there when we were first getting teased with the album. And we know that Ye's interests, at least from the outside, do not portray that he wants to perform or have anything to do with the US. So what's next for him? You guys know me, I never want to be a doubter, but I think it is going to be a while before we hear this project. And for those who can't read between the lines, I don't know if we'll be seeing it in November. And honestly, I'm okay with that, especially if the album is actually being worked on. I think Bully in its current state, and I'm referring to the July copy that leaked that was still filled with AI, just because that's the most recently we've heard the album and what we know it to be right now, at least. That project is not going to move the marker for Ye at all, at least in the right direction. It will just solidify the fact that the general population thinks that Ye is a washed up Nazi who can't rap, can't make music, and that's just the hard truth. I don't think we're at the point here where Ye should release an apology, and I don't think that would do anything either. All the people that are checked out are going to stay checked out at this point, but I think that number is a lot smaller than people really think it is. He can think whatever he wants, but the music needs to be there. It needs to be good, and if he wants to put what he thinks in it, it has to be done in a more classy way where it can actually translate, aka something like St. Pablo. We all know what bar I'm talking about. No cousins or HH type shit, bro. Please, that's all we need. It's so simple. I also asked some of you guys what you think about the state of the album, the AI more specifically, etc. And a lot of you are honestly thinking the same thing, saying I don't think so at this point. We heard a pretty finished AI version of Bully back in June, and I assume he's delaying the album for good reasons, recording vocals, fixing production. Why would he bother delaying it again if he wasn't going to at least try to make the album sound better and finished? And on top of all of that, the more delayed it gets, plus other artists confirming that Ye is in the studio, makes me hopeful. And I think a lot of the community feels the same way. As more time just goes on, and even if it's just silence, there's kind of this perception that the album is getting better and it's automatically building up that hype. So if Ye could actually help building that hype up, that would definitely make a huge change with this project. Because I think perception is just a massive thing here that a lot of people aren't taking into account. So yeah, the proof is there that the community thinks the same thing. Not much more for me to say. Comment your guys' opinions on what you think Ye is going to do next. Is Bully finished right now, and is the delay for the rollout? Is there going to be a rollout? Lots of good questions that need answering, and I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts down below in the comment section. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe to support OTN. And like I said, these bear keychains are dropping on Friday, so make sure to get yourself a bear. Follow Pocket Artists on Instagram to be entered in a giveaway for a free one, and even then, just updates on how to purchase if you don't end up winning. You can also join my Discord to stay connected with all of this information, new videos, everything. Join the Discord. Thank you guys so much for watching, and on that note,